Huge crowds gathered in Sydney last night for the world premiere of Angelina Jolie's new movie, Unbroken. The actress turned movie director did not disappoint, signing autographs and posing for photos. One lucky fan even got a kiss. Her husband Brad Pitt was also on the red carpet. And today Ange explained that her favourite Aussie saying she picked up while filming is "no worries." The question is, what impact does a movie like this have on the Australian film industry? And do tours from A-listers like Angelina really help to increase tourism? To talk to us about this, we are joined by our movie guru, Jason Jabba Davis. Jabba, lovely to have you with us. A lot of hype, obviously, about Angelina and Brad coming down here for the Sydney premiere. We know Johnny Depp will be in Queensland next year for Pirates of the Caribbean. What kind of impact does this have on our film industry and on tourism?
That's a great question. I mean, obviously having an import, someone with a bigger name as Angelina Jolie or a Johnny Depp in the country straight away attracts the spotlight of the paparazzi. It gets Australia on the world map. Russell Crowe is going to be doing a red carpet in a couple of weeks for his new film, The Water Diviner. Hopefully that's also going to drum up a bit of excitement because, you know, Russell's a massive name. So the more of these kind of events, the better for the Australian film industry.
And they generally go back and say great things about Australia and about our film industry and how hard people work as well. And $65 million was spent shooting this all over New South Wales. I mean, you've got to presume that's an enormous injection into the Australian film industry.
Yeah, it represents, I think, maybe about a third of the recent overseas investment in the Australian film industry. I mean, back in 2008, it was as low as $2 million. The dollar was too strong. It's been as high as about $250 million. So in a good year, this represents a really significant investment across all different parts of Australia too. It was filmed on Cockatoo Island and Sydney Harbour, replicating a Japanese prisoner of war camp for Unbroken. Also spent time up at Roadshow on the Gold Coast, where they have a giant water tank, filming some of the scenes where Louis Zamperini spends 47 days floating in a life raft. I mean, incredible story, and I think that's why they chose to launch the film here, because of its connection to Australians and our conflict in World War II.
Why are we so popular now for all these movies being filmed?
Oh, probably Paul Hogan. I think it's the Paul Hogan effect. No, I think it's, you know, there's certainly a cultural, yeah, the shrimp help. The cultural affinity that Australians and Americans share. I mean, we're easy to get along with, we're hard working, we have the same work ethic. You know, when crews head to England, I think there's different union rules, whereas here, you know, it's great weather, people speak the same language, there's amazing, iconic locations to use. And often, a lot of the time, it is dependent on economic realities. And, you know, the lower the Aussie dollar drops, apparently the ideal figure is 75 cents. Whereas it's around the 90-cent mark at the moment. So if it drops further, we're going to see even more films here.
Now, there are other people on the other hand are saying there's some concerns that the increase in the production costs are actually inflating the cost of making movies. Do you think it can have a negative impact on the smaller films? Because it's harder for those guys then. I
think the smaller films need to get more creative. We're going to see this week the digital-only release of a brand new film from Hugo Weaving and Angus Sampson called The Mule, and that's been shot here in Australia on relatively low budget, not seeing a cinema release. So it's a different approach I think Australians need to see, because we can't really compete on the same terms as Hollywood with, you know, big budget blockbusters.
We just heard that Johnny Depp will be in Queensland next year for the next instalment of the Pirates of the Caribbean. What about the rest of 2015? Are we likely to see many more big names come out here and shoot films?
Mon, I'm just relieved that he's not in town at the same time as Angelina Jolie, because the world does not need tourists too. Look, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is one of the films that's been bandied around. Obviously, we have a lot of sea to use. In the case of New Zealand, Wellington has basically been renamed Wellywood. Films like Avatar, the new sequels there are being filmed there. So, you know, the more the merrier. Hopefully we'll see a whole bunch of stars heading down here next year.
Hey, Jab, very quickly, is it a good film? What are the critics saying?
Unbroken. I'm saving it for the big screen. Last night the screen wasn't big enough for me. I'm going to go see it in VMAX, you know, sit in the back row and have the stereo sound.
So you couldn't be bothered?
Had sushi instead. Culturally appropriate. But the book's phenomenal, and I've heard great reports, so can't wait to see what Angelina Jolie's done with Unbroken.
Absolutely, Jabba, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Still to come this afternoon. It's the Smash Aussie album with one of the most iconic covers ever created. But can you remember who shot this famous photo? Well, the world-renowned artist will join us live soon.
Up next, though, powerful predators. They can power through the water at 40 kilometres an hour and have jaws stronger than a T-Rex. We're getting up close and personal with the mighty croc after this.
I just thought it was fabulous.